The Director of Research at the African Tax Administration Forum, ATAF, Nara Monkam, says Africa needs to see taxation as an escape weapon from reliance on donor agencies. He spoke to CNBC Africa's Christycole Popoola in an interview at the recently concluded ATAF International Tax Conference in Nigeria.
Through the African Tax Outlook publication that we officially launched again here, the second edition of it, we actually, which is a publication basically telling our own story about tax statistics about taxation on the continent. So, and it's a first publication of its kind where tax administrators themselves are able to tell their own stories regarding the challenges and the solution. Out of that publication, out of that project, basically that started in 2014, we discovered that the collection of reliable reliable tax statistics is still a big challenge in our continent. When the head of the research of all those member countries participating in the project came together, we decided in specific indicators that are key to assess the performance of our tax administration, but also of our tax systems in general. And we were indicators like the number of active taxpayers. We were not able to come up to a common definition because we discovered that it's still very difficult in our tax administration, just for that one example, to assess the number of active taxpayers in our tax administration. And it's very difficult, for example, to go to a bank and tell them, not for them to know the amount of clients they have. And it should not be the case as well. It should be the same thing for our tax administration. They should be able to know not only the number of taxpayers that are contributing in their database, but also the potential taxpayers out there that can be brought to the tax system and of course continue to, through them, increasing the revenue collection. So it still remains a major issues, and issues like rationale like ICT, investment in people, in systems and skills to not only actively collect those reliable data, but also make the required analysis is still an issue. And it's our job at ATAF to convince the tax administration that investing in systems that collect data and in people that analyze the data is key to assist in meeting the revenue targets.
You kind of took my next question off my mind. I was going to ask you, what would you say? You've spoken about the general issues, but essentially, what are the key factors? What are the trigger factors for these challenges? Is it that taxpayers across Africa are not forthcoming with data, or administrators are not reaching out in the specific ways that they should, such that they are able to get this data? And at what point really does harmonization of data, maybe across other sectors, and drawing them into the taxation system become a source of concern?
You actually already partly answered the question, because the issue definitely is twofold. Is on one hand, taxpayers they don't want to be visible, they don't want to be part of the tax net. For obvious reason, nobody likes to pay taxes. And on the end, it's the tax administration capability to reach out to them and to also know who are the potential taxpayers out there, and sometimes also what is in the tax register. So the issues are basically twofold, and us in tackling that and us in finding the solution, we have to approach the solutions in those two ways. And it's about investment again. ICT is investment in people, it's investment in capability, and it's also exchange of good practices among the tax administration on the continent, because you have tax administration that are quite advanced already, that have somewhat master the way to close those loopholes, and tax administration can exchange good practices that way and learn from those who have already been there and done that, instead of wasting time reinventing the wheel. So they can leverage already on existing strength and learn from the challenges that countries ahead of them have gone through, to leapfrog in terms of revenue collection by learning from what they've done.
Okay, so I said I was going to ask you to briefly tell us about ATAF's African Mutual Assistance in Tax Matters initiative.
Yes. So the AMATAM, it's called AMATAM, African Mutual Assistance in Tax Matter, is a tool that has been launched by ATAF in 2012, before my time. It's actually basically a tool that assists with the exchange of information between tax administration on the continent, of joining that tool, not only exchange of information, but also assist them in conducting joint audit and joint investigations across Africa. For example, you have big multinationals that actually are working in different regions, and then through that tool, our tax administration can exchange information in a confidential manner and assist them also in tackling the challenges maybe created by this multinational. So approximately right now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, approximately 7 multinational tax administration who have signed, the latest being Liberia and Nigeria.
And how long has ATAX had AMATEM now?
Since 2012. So it's a tool, it's a continuous tool that again is at the disposal of the tax administration to just join by signing to be able to start with the exchange of information.
And in the 5 years that this tool has existed, to what extent can you say that it has succeeded in moving countries across Africa in terms of their tax administration from one point, say, to show effectiveness or actually certain improvements?
It's a bit too early to say yet, because it took a long time for all those. First of all, we needed 5 countries to ratify, to make it an official tool internationally recognized. So it took a while for those countries to come to the party. And it's only recently that we had all those countries necessary to make now the tool officially operational. And now ATAF is ready to start rolling it out officially to now get all the benefit that we can out of that tool.
So in conclusion, let's have your and results from a conference of this nature.
We had a large amount of African countries here represented in Nigeria, beyond the ATAF 38 member countries, which is tremendous, because that's what ATAF is basically. The ATAF is an international Pan-African organization bringing together all the tax administration, ideally on the continent together. So my hope is that first, beyond a better understanding of what constitutes, the basics of our tax base, from PIT, personal income tax, to corporate income tax, to VAT, understanding the challenges, understanding also the solutions, and also exchanging of good practices among the tax administration. My hope is that we can leverage on the momentum that we created through these big conference, and then convince people of the importance of joining, convince tax administration of the importance of joining this platform, because through that platform, for the first time, we can have a voice, an African voice on tax matters, not only at the continental level, but also at the international level. We can together find our own solutions, not imported solutions, our own solution that fit our own reality, our own economic circumstances. We can all shape that together through that platform. And again, exchange good practice, peer learn, like I said earlier, to avoid reinventing the wheel. Why should Rwanda waste time in finding how to efficiently tackle the informal sector if Ghana has already done that, if Ghana has already been there and done that? Why should we waste time in tackling all those issues around international tax if countries like Kenya or South Africa are already ahead? Why should we waste time if it takes maybe a study tour or a secondment or peer learning between those countries to come together to find the solutions that we need for our continent? So that's what ATAF is about, and I hope we manage to convey that message through those countries that are not part of ATAF yet, to come together, so that together we find the revenue resource, the sustainable revenue that is key to fund our development agenda, not relying on foreign aid anymore, or basically reducing our dependence on foreign aid, reducing our dependence of volatile external sources of revenue. So that's the key. Taxation is that sustainable sources of revenue that can assist us in meeting that challenge.